Well, well, well. Special Louie T Network podcast episode on deck today. It's Tuesday, which is normally not a day that we see each other, but extreme circumstances deserve an immediate reaction. Tons of topics to discuss today. Obviously, the big bombshell is Russell Wilson being traded to the Denver Broncos. We will dive into that trade, what it means, and the fallout on both sides, or in this case, the Seattle side of things. We'll talk about Aaron Rodgers. Reportedly, the deal is not done yet, but he is coming back to Green Bay. We'll see what happens. He finessed the Packers. We'll talk about that as well. And also, a lot of franchise tags being handed out. I've got something to say about that and what that truly means as well. You are locked into the 243rd installment of the Louie T Network podcast that starts now. The Louie T Network is powered by the Card Collector Series. Join me, your man, Louie T, on my journey back into the card collecting space with the Card Collector Series on YouTube. Link is in the description. Oh, beautiful people. What is going on? It's your man, Louie T. Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T, coming at you with a emergency pod. I don't do this very often, but these types of situations don't happen very often. As we all know, we have a division now that is absolutely loaded, fully suited and booted and ready to kick ass. The AFC West is as loaded at the quarterback position as any division in recent memory. From top to bottom, it's loaded with quarterbacks that are capable of winning a Super Bowl. Derek Carr, I don't know about that, but if Derek Carr is the worst quarterback in your division, you got a pretty damn good division. It's now the AFC Wild Wild West. And Russell Wilson is now a member of the Denver Broncos. It's crazy. We were hearing rumblings and grumblings as you put your ear to the street that his preferred destination was, in fact, Denver, but I still didn't think anything was going to happen. So I've done this once. I'm throwing up in my mouth as we speak because I don't like doing this. But when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I told you, when I'm wrong, I'll be the first to tell you I'm wrong. Double overtime. Okay, I was wrong. I did not think Russell Wilson was going to be traded, but here we are. He is now a member of the Denver Broncos. It will become official next week when the new league year takes place. And pending a physical, which he'll pass, Russell Wilson will be a member of the Denver Broncos. And we had a conversation I did with the rest of the Washington fan base about the last two seasons and what has transpired with quarterbacks changing teams. The last two Super Bowl winners have come from teams that have gone out and acquired future Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Yes, Matthew Stafford is a future Hall of Fame quarterback now. And I think we're going to see the third. And I was saying that because I didn't think Aaron Rodgers was going anywhere, and I didn't think Russell Wilson was going anywhere, the only guy that could have those kinds of, that had that kind of chops and that kind of reputation that preceded him, that could go to a team and catapult them to a Super Bowl, was Deshaun Watson. Well, that changes now. Russell Wilson is now a member of the Denver Broncos, and I think the Broncos are going to win the Super Bowl now. If history repeats itself like the last 2 years, Super Bowl champion is coming out of the AFC West. And it's not the it's not the Kansas City Chiefs led by Patrick Mahomes. It's not the Los Angeles Chargers led by Justin Herbert. It's damn sure not the Vegas Raiders led by Derek Carr. I'm talking about the Denver Broncos, now led by DangeRuss Russell Wilson. All of a sudden, the AFC West just got dangerous. Speaking of which, that's where we're going to start our show off today with the gem dropping session. Of course, let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T double E. Let me open you up, get you thinking a little bit. So we're going to go to social media maneuvers. I see some comments lining up. So trust me, we're going to get to your comments because I know a lot of you have a lot to say. So this deal, Let's talk about the deal itself. So reports are coming in. Anytime you try to get out in front of one of these things, reports come out, you run with that, and then a lot of times down the road, what we thought was the original report was that was accurate turns out to be inaccurate, and there's something else that was left out. But as of right now, the Denver Broncos trade for Russell Wilson. They get Russell Wilson and a 4th-round pick. In exchange, the Denver Broncos give up 2 first-round picks this year and next year's, 2 second-round picks this year and next year's, a 5th-round pick this year, and quarterback Drew Lock, tight end Noah Fant, and defensive lineman Shelby Harris. 3 really good players, or 2 really good players in Shelby Harris and Noah Fant, and then a question mark in Drew Lock. But they want to find out if Drew Lock can actually play ball or not. We'll see. I'm a Drew Lock fan. I was coming out of Missouri. He hasn't been good for Denver. Maybe a change of scenery will do him good. A change will do you good. Maybe a change will do him some good. So that's the parameters of the deal right now. Okay. Who won the trade? Clearly, we know that it's the Denver Broncos, especially if they win a Super Bowl. I've always said this. I told you guys this many a times. I'll continue to repeat this. There's no equal value for a superstar. You can try, but there's no equal value. When the Raiders traded Khalil Mack, yeah, the Bears gave up a lot. What did the Raiders do with those picks? Absolutely nothing. Okay. All right. There's no such thing as equal value for a superstar. You can get as many picks as you like. You can have them throw in some players that are veterans that you know what you're getting, known commodities, as I like to call them. That's fine. But at the end of the day, we know what Russell Wilson is. We know what Khalil Mack is. We know what Jamal Adams is. There's no way to quantify what you're getting, especially when you're getting draft picks. What you do with them is the most important thing. But there's no way to get equal value for a superstar. So that said, the Denver Broncos are the winner of this trade. Now, because in this league, there's nothing more important than having a quarterback. The Seattle Seahawks just relinquished their rights to having a guy that gives them a chance to win a Super Bowl every year. They just gave that guy up. And whether he didn't want to be there or him being in Seattle had run its course and it was becoming toxic, whatever the case may be, you find a way to make that shit work. Just like the Packers found a way to figure it out with Aaron Rodgers, you find a way to make it work with the first ballot Hall of Famer, because if you trade that guy, you're done. You're dead. You're just like the rest of these teams, searching, probing, hoping, praying, wishing that they had a quarterback. You're hoping, praying, and wishing that Drew Lock is good. Good luck. You're going to need it. And if you're not interested in Drew Lock, or you don't think he's the guy, you got the 9th overall pick this year, and you'll have 2 first-round picks next year to figure it out. Maybe you package those picks up to go up to number 2 to get a guy. I don't know. We'll see. At the end of the day, the Seattle Seahawks, they're not going to be competitive this year. Or if they're competitive, they won't be as competitive as they would have been with a healthy Russell Wilson. So if you're the Denver Broncos, you look, I'll give up whatever it takes. And they gave that up without blinking. Okay. You want Noah Fant? Done. Who else? Shelby Harris? He's yours. Who else? I'm pretty sure there were some players that they say, okay, no. We're not giving that guy up. We're already giving up 2 1s, 2 2s. Okay. So you're not going to just rape us. However, we'll give up Noah Fant. He's a young, up-and-coming tight end. We know how good he is. Here, he's yours. Take him. You want Drew Lock? We were done with him anyway. Here, he's yours. Take him. Shelby Harris, hell of a defensive lineman. He's all yours. Take him. So they're ecstatic. Earlier on when Aaron Rodgers announced he was going back to Green Bay, Jerry Jeudy tweeted out how disappointed he was with an emoji, right? I assume that he's ecstatic now. He's excited, and he can't wait to get back to work, because they got themselves a guy that's going to help them potentially win a Super Bowl this year. I'm just glad my team doesn't have to play the AFC West this year. We played them last year. So, that division is murderer's row. Look, Russell Wilson just stepped into the lion's den in that division, but he's not afraid. He's not scared. Okay. He knew what he was getting himself into, and he feels really good about the team he just went to. They're loaded. Okay. The Denver Broncos, listen to this roster, okay? I've been talking about the talent that the Broncos have had for years now, and they just keep adding to it, right? So if healthy, and that's the problem with Denver the last 2 years, is they haven't been fully healthy. But assume that KJ Hamler comes back from his torn ACL, right? And assume that Cortland Sutton stays healthy this year. Let's assume that Tim Patrick is healthy. Let's assume that Jerry Jeudy doesn't sprain his ankle and miss like 8 games. Let's assume that they've got all of their stuff. Now you got Russell Wilson at quarterback. You've got a young running back in Javonte Williams, who was a beast last year. They can bring back Melvin Gordon III if they so choose. He wants to come back. He's already said, I want to win a Super Bowl in Denver. They can bring him back if they like, and it probably won't cost them that much to do so. Or they can draft them a young back. They don't have to bring back, Melvin Gordon III. But they got running backs, okay, period. Listen to this receiver group. This is ridiculous. Okay, Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick. Yikes. Is there a better group in the league when healthy? I don't know. That's debatable. They've got Albert O. Okay. They traded away Noah Fant, but they still got Albert O. That's how deep they were at tight end. They traded a 4.5 240 tight end, and now they got a 4.41 tight end in his place in the lineup. Okay. That's the abundance of riches that the Denver Broncos have. And they can go out and draft another tight end, or they can go out on the free agent market. I've talked about how deep that free agent market of tight ends was. It isn't anymore, but was. It's still got guys out there that are worth going out, and you won't have to spend a ton to get them either. So they're loaded on offense at the skill positions. Defensively, they got Patrick Surtain. All right. They got what's the cornerback that was in Washington? Ronald Darby, right? They got Justin Simmons. They got Bradley Chubb. Okay. They're loaded, and they're going to add to that mix. Okay. They're not done, right? So this is a team defensively that I think they're still a piece or two away. They can do that. They can still, even with giving away their first and second round pick. Remember what we just said about the draft this year? Remember what we just said about how deep of a draft class is? Is this the deepest draft class ever? Well, guess what you don't need when there's a really super deep draft class? Guess what you don't need? Guess. You don't need a first or a second round pick to do damage. As long as you got a 3 or 4 or 5, and hell, you could trade back in the third round, pick up a couple of 5s, something like that, and they can still stockpile talent. That's how deep this draft class is. The Denver Broncos are going to be just fine. Now they got a guy that gives them a chance to hoist the Lombardi. They're the clear winners in this thing. And I don't think it's even remotely close. Because if you get a chance to win a Lombardi, you take it. That's what the Denver Broncos just did. I've always said that John Elway is terrible at finding quarterbacks in the draft. But what he is great at doing is persuading quarterbacks to come to Denver to win a championship there. He did it with Peyton Manning, and now he's doing it again with Russell Wilson. Now, I don't want to sell George Patton short, who is the GM in Denver. And was the one pulling the strings with this deal. But don't think for one second John Elway doesn't have his stinky, dirty fingers all over this deal. This is a big move for the Denver Broncos for sure. So if you're Seattle, you hit the reset button. You're not going to be good this year. You still got some foundational pieces to build around, but you're getting old. We've talked about this already. You were getting old. KJ Wright, you had to get rid of him last year because you're getting old. You got Bobby Wagner who wants to be back. You're getting old. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're still trying to infuse this roster with youth while holding on to some of your veterans. But I guess it was time for a change. And good luck. As I said at the top of the show, you're going to need it in terms of the quarterback position, because what you've effectively done is you've gotten rid of the guy that ensured you that you were going to have a chance before the season started. Now, he got hurt last year, and they weren't great before he got hurt, but he got hurt last year, and they didn't have a chance then. But a healthy Russell Wilson gives you a shot every single year. You go into the year thinking, hey, Seattle, you just don't know. That's no longer the case. They're an afterthought in a division that features two teams that were in the NFC Championship game. And obviously the 49ers could take a massive step back with Trey Lance under center, or they could take a massive step forward like they did when they put Colin Kaepernick into the lineup, when they had Alex Smith. It could be one of those situations where they're about to ascend and be one of the best teams, not just in that division or in the conference, but in the league with Trey Lance under center. You know, they got the Rams. They're the Super Bowl defending champions. And Arizona's still retooling over there with Kyler Murray, and they're going to figure that situation out. He's not going anywhere. So you're doomed in that division, and you stink now because you don't have Russell Wilson. But we'll see what you do with these picks. You've never done a great job with first-round picks, so I don't really care that you have 2 first-round picks next year. You got 1 now this year because you didn't have 1 because of the trade with the Jets for Jamal Adams. So now you're back in the game, and it's always a good thing when you're back in the game. It sucks to be in timeout when, you know, everyone's talking about potential first-round selections. But you'll have 2 of them next year. We'll see what you do with the one you got now this year, number 9 overall. You're not used to picking this early. See what you do with that pick. Hard to mess that up if you're Seattle, but, you know, they always think they're the smartest guys in the room. I wouldn't be shocked if they traded out of that pick, picked up more picks, because that's what the Seahawks do. Hard for me to envision them making a selection at 9. I think they're going to trade back, stockpile picks for this year and next year's draft, and they're going to just start this machine of having 14 and 15 picks moving forward. So we'll see what happens with the Seahawks, but they moved on from Russell Wilson. I didn't think they were going to do it. They did it, and we'll see what direction they go in, whether it's the start of the Drew Lock era or if he's just a placeholder for the next guy that's going to come in there. Maybe they spend the 9th overall pick on a quarterback. Maybe they trade out of the 9th overall pick. Maybe Drew Lock is the guy, similar to the Lions when they said, "Hey, no, we're not trading all these picks to move on from Jared Goff. We're taking Jared Goff because he's going to start." Okay, let's see what the Seahawks do. Interesting stuff there. So, Aaron Rodgers. You know what? Let's do this in the next segment that we title Social Media Maneuvers. I'm a midday marauder. Let's get to social media maneuvers. And I want to start with Aaron Rodgers, and then we'll get to your comments. Remember, if you're out there and you have a comment that you want read on the air, you know what to do. Use the hashtag LouieTLive to have your comment read on the air. We'll get to as many of them as possible. If you want to jump to the front of the line, and I know a lot of you do with all of the things that transpired today, use the super chat function to do that. Super chats come first, hashtags come second. So with that said, Aaron Rodgers is back in Green Bay. Whoop-diddy-doo. Who's surprised? Not I. Okay, not I. And most of you aren't either. A lot of you understood what was going on here. I feel like Aaron Rodgers finessed the hell out of the Green Bay Packers because this was always the end game, you know, to make them suffer, make them pay for drafting Jordan Love, and then parlay this into the biggest contract in NFL history for a quarterback on a per annual salary basis. Patrick Mahomes signed the biggest deal ever in the NFL, $500 million, but he wasn't making $50 million per year in that deal. Whereas Aaron Rodgers will be if he signs this reported 4-year, $200 million deal. Now, reports have also come out that have refuted the fact that he signed that deal and that deal is on the table. He said no deal has been made yet. He's just coming back, and he's informed the team of that. Okay, whatever. I think it's going to be 4 years, $200 million. I think he's going to be the first quarterback to make $50 million on average, and he's going to set the new bar in the league. And I think he's going to be smiling all the way to the bank while doing it, because this to me was the plan all along. Once they drafted Jordan Love, he was going to make them pay. I remember, I want to say it was David Bakhtiari. It was one of those offensive linemen that said, "Hey, y'all just effed up. Y'all made Aaron Rodgers mad." And what did he do? All he did was just win 2 straight NFL MVPs. He didn't win the Super Bowl, which is the most important thing. But he's just won 2 straight NFL MVPs. That's it. So in effect, he said, "I'm going to stick it to you. I'm going to show you that you effed up. And I'm going to make you feel bad for going behind my back and drafting a young boy, trading up to draft a young boy. And now I'm going to make you waste that draft pick instead of you using it on a guy that could help us win a Super Bowl. You wasted that draft pick, and I'm going to milk your ass for 50 per. Yeah, I think he finessed them for the bag. This was the plan all along. He could have gotten a new deal. They were thinking about trading him. Think about this. 2 years ago, they were thinking about trading Aaron Rodgers. That's why they drafted Jordan Love. They were thinking about moving this dude. And that set in motion the chain of events that we've seen take place. Aaron Rodgers playing at this ridiculous level, winning 2 league MVPs, and now on the precipice of getting the first $50 million a year contract. He finessed them. They pissed him off, and he said, I'm going to finesse you for the bag. Because he was never going anywhere. Come on, guys. Come on. Aaron Rodgers was never leaving Green Bay. He was never leaving. So if he was never leaving, what was all of this mass hysteria about? I'll let you guys know before free agency. All he was doing was dragging these boys along for a ride and upping that price along the way. Because what he effectively did, and that perfectly placed missed game against the Kansas City Chiefs, it was brilliant. It was brilliant because what it did was it gave them a look into the future, into that window of the future, what life without Aaron Rodgers would look like. And Jordan Love vomited all over himself. He soiled himself. I mean, he had piss coming down his leg. He sharted all over his undergarments, and he vomited all over his jersey. He was terrible in that game. They barely scored. Did they score 10 points or did they score 9? I forget. Either way, he was awful. And they said, we can't do this. We need Aaron back. He finessed them for the bag. Good for him. Good for him. The only thing that would make this worthwhile is if he wins a Super Bowl. But what this deal, and again, we're speculating. We don't know if he's going to sign a 2-year deal or a 3-year extension. It could be a 2-year, $100 million extension. It could be a 4-year, $200 million extension, as it has been reported. It could be 3 years, $150 million. Whatever the case may be, this deal that he's going to sign, this extension that he's going to sign, is going to ensure that he finishes his career a Packer. And to me, the fallout, the B-side, if you will, or as I like to say, the B-side of this thing is, what do you do with Jordan Love? We talked about this briefly because I knew Aaron Rodgers was going to be back. I didn't know for how long. Remember, I told you, not only is Aaron Rodgers going to be back, they're going to have to franchise tag Davante Adams. They're going to bring the game back. I told you I thought it was going to be for a year. I said they're going to bring Aaron back for a year. Aaron's going to come back. They're going to have to franchise tag Davante Adams because they don't plan on giving him a long-term deal. Get the band back together for one more year, and then they're going to let it ride next year because they got to figure out what they're going to do with Jordan Love. You sign Aaron Rodgers to a 2, 3, 4-year extension, Jordan Love is dead in Green Bay. Dead, I tell you. So if he's dead in Green Bay, you got to get something. You spent a first-round pick that you traded up to spend on Jordan Love. You got to recoup something for that. It may not be a first from someone, but you got to get something for that young man. You need a day 2 pick. You need a second or a third from somebody to take Jordan Love off your hands if you're the Green Bay Packers. At one point, their GM, Brian Gutekunst, said, we're not trading Jordan Love. We're not interested. Yes, you are. Now you are. That Aaron Rodgers is here for the long haul. Now you are. Lion season is here. That was a lie. Now let's see who is interested in going to get Jordan Love and rescuing him from Green Bay. So I think that is now the real question. We talked about all these dominoes falling. Aaron Rodgers back in Green Bay. Russell Wilson now in Denver. More likely than not, Derek Carr remaining in Vegas. Still waiting on Deshaun Watson. Doesn't look like anything's happening with that situation right now. But we talked about all these dominoes, these quarterback dominoes. Obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo's out there. He stinks. Nobody wants him, but somebody's going to trade for him. I'm glad he's got this shoulder injury, and I never wish injury on any man, but my team was desperate enough, and they still might be, to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. This shoulder injury gives everyone a little bit of pause, like, hey, let's calm down a bit. Jimmy Garoppolo, who already stinks, is coming off of shoulder surgery. Let's just pump the brakes and drive slow, homie. Drive slow. So these are your options Now Jordan Love may go to the top of that list of options because he's young. He's an unknown commodity. So you could be getting the next Brett Favre. Remember, Brett Favre was sitting on the Atlanta Falcons bench, rotting away behind Chris Miller, of all guys, right? Now, I sit here and I say that Chris Miller led the two legit Falcons to the divisional round where they got smoked by Washington, but he was coming off a really good season, which is why they traded Brett Favre. You could be trading for the next Brett Favre. I'm saying that with a straight face. Like, who knows? I loved Jordan Love coming out of Utah State. I thought he was a super talent. I thought there needed to be a little bit of seasoning. He needed to be schooled a bit. There was a little bit of, kind of just loosey-goosey with the football, throwing it all over the yard. Same shit we said about Patrick Mahomes. The guy's talented, man. You could be trading for the next big thing. Who knows? All it takes is one team to be interested. He's 23 years old. He's a puppy. He's a puppy. He's a puppy. I'm not saying, I'm just saying he's now interesting because the Packers, they may lie to your face and tell you we're not open for business. They're open for business. Pick up the phone and call them. Make an offer. They're listening. Jordan Love. It's going to be interesting to see if any team is really interested in Jordan Love or not. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to the comment section. See what you guys have to say. A lot of these new members, you guys came over to the Washington video and became members. But I don't mind giving y'all some love again. Samuel Hatley, thank you for becoming a member of the MOBB. You are officially in the building as a member of the squad. Welcome aboard. Also, Brian Norfleet, thank you for becoming a member of the MOBB. Glad to have you. Welcome to the squad. And William Rodgers Jr., thank you for becoming a member of the MOBB as well. So, with those pleasantries out of the way, did see a super chat, I believe. So let's get to that. Thomas Carter, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Thomas Carter writes, we need to get that veteran QB and draft a young QB and move on. Well, that's what's going to happen. That's not optional, okay? If we do not do this, we have a problem. It's not optional at this point. Washington is going to, and Ron told us this a month ago. Ron knew what it was. He knew nobody wanted to come here. He knew Aaron Rodgers wasn't coming here. They tried on Russell Wilson. They knew no one was coming here of note, which is why Ron told us a month ago, more likely than not, we're going to end up with a veteran and a rookie to go along with Taylor Heineke. He already told us what was going to happen. And I told you he already told us. So that's exactly what's going to happen, Thomas. We're gonna get the veteran quarterback, whether it's Mariota or it's Trubisky or it's Teddy Bridgewater, whomever. They're going to get one of these retreads, have that guy be a stopgap, draft a young quarterback, and then eventually we'll see the young boy at some point, whether it's this year or next year. Storm, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Storm, writes, my Raiders just made the playoffs for the second time since 2002, and now we got to deal with Pat, Herb, and Russ in the same damn division. Come on, man. Yeah, that's rough. You were just gaining a little traction in that division too. You were just starting to announce, hey, we here, man. We the Raiders. Yeah, we the Raiders. Now man, this shit ain't fair. You just started to do something. Yeah, it's rough, man. I think y'all go all the way to the back of the line now because the Chargers are only going to get better, despite their head coach being a little bit reckless with the handles at times. That's his MO. That's his thing. Similar to the way we felt about Doug Peterson when he first came in the league. Like, oh, my God, this Doug Peterson, he's too aggressive. He's going for it on fourth down too much. Then he won the Super Bowl. They're only going to get better in Los Angeles with Justin Herbert at quarterback. We know what the Chiefs are. They're not going away anytime soon. And now the Broncos, they're a real problem now. They're a threat. So I think you go all the way to the back of the line again, man. Yeah, that sucks. It does. Anyway, I digress. All right. Got no more super chats. So let's get to any hashtags that we may have. Let's see. Let's see. I know we got some hashtags in here somewhere. MCGB writes, please stop. They don't even have a better receiving group than Kansas City or LA. I mean, that's your opinion. I mean, after Tyreek Hill in Kansas City, who scares you? I'm waiting. That was the problem with the Chiefs this year. They got a tight end and a receiver. That's it. The rest of those dudes are ancillary parts. Even Mecole Hardman is inconsistent. That's the problem. I guarantee you the Chiefs either go out in free agency and get a receiver, or they draft a guy relatively high this year. They're hurting at receiver. So what are you talking about, the Chiefs? And LA's got a good group if they bring back Odell Beckham Jr. They got a really good group. But I would put that Denver Broncos group against that. Now, they don't have Cooper Kupp. That's the problem in Denver. Is they don't have that guy that just literally lit the NFL up like Cooper Kupp. However, the total sum of the parts, the Rams don't go 4D. And I really like the young boy. I think he was in his second year this year out of Florida, Van Jefferson. I like him. Van Jefferson is the fifth receiver on that Denver Broncos team. First of all, I don't think you know how good Tim Patrick is. That's number one. You don't even know who Tim Patrick is, probably. Number two, Jerry Jeudy is a first-round pick, and we know how talented he is. He catches the football. He's a problem. KJ Hamler is a problem when he's healthy. Got to stay healthy. But he's a problem. And we know Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton has a chance, if he's healthy, to be Cooper Kupp. He's that good. He's that good. So I take him over. I take that group over either one of those teams. So, no, I don't know of many teams in the league that go 4 deep at receiver. And they got every flavor of receiver. The Rams don't have a big guy that they can just throw it up to. They don't have that. Neither do the Chiefs. They got a tight end. They don't have a big guy that they can throw it up to. The Broncos can give it to you whatever way you want it. Whatever flavor is the flavor du jour, whatever the soup of the day is, that can give you a little bit. You want a speed guy? I got Jerry Jeudy. I got KJ Hamler. You need a little bit of size? I got Courtland Sutton and Tim Patrick. How you want it? You want possession receiver? You want speed receiver? You want a combination of the two? I can give it to you any way you want it. So I disagree with you. But you can disagree with me. You don't have to agree with me. Let's see. Craig Smith writes, it's real in the field now, Lou. Wild, wild AFC West. It's wild out there, man. It just got dangerous in the AFC West. It's the wild, wild West, man. Wild, wild West. I mean, it ain't for the faint of heart. That's for damn sure. You don't come in there half stepping. Because all of a sudden now you stepping with the big dogs. You stomping with the big dogs. It's big dogs out there. Everywhere you look. That's why I feel bad for Derek Carr, because compared to the rest of the quarterbacks in that division, he ain't a puppy. He ain't a arf. But don't nobody respect his bark, though. You better bad back. He like, arf. And Mahomes is like, arf. He's like, and that's what Herbert's doing. That's what Russ is going to come in there doing. I just feel bad for him, but I don't. Boy, it's dark and hot as ever in this. Dark and hell is hot in that AFC West. I'm just glad. I already said this. I'm going to say it again. I'm just glad my team doesn't have to play that division. We got away 1 year early. We played that AFC West division last year. We don't got to deal with that shit this year because it's murderers row. Jason Bree, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, I honestly feel like as soon as Watson is somehow cleared, Washington will do everything to go get him, or he chooses the Steelers over us, as they all seem to do. Well, remember, he already made mention of his preferred destination. I told you, we're not a preferred destination. That's facts. Any quarterback that has any chops or a game or a legacy that precedes him, they're not coming to Washington willingly. Like Matthew Stafford almost got traded to Washington because he didn't have a no trade clause. So he didn't get to choose where he ended up. But the Lions wanted to do right by Stafford. And remember, the GM that went to Detroit, Brad Holmes, came from LA. So he was pretty much besties with, the Rams GM, Les Snead. So they did work. They did business together. When you look at this whole situation, Deshaun Watson's already said, I want to go to Tampa or Minnesota, but Minnesota's got Kirk Cousins. So don't think he's going to end up there, but you never know, right? But Tampa's still looking. And unless Tampa, they weren't willing to look the other way on Antonio Brown. If they're willing to look the other way on that dude, Deshaun Watson's he's a much more put together human being than Antonio Brown. So if they were willing to go to bat for Antonio Brown, then I'm pretty sure they're willing to waive whatever morals that they have to go and get Deshaun Watson. So we'll see. Watson, he can choose wherever he wants to go. And again, I don't think it's going to be Washington. So we'll see what happens. Got a super chat here from my guy, Barrett Downing. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, BD. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Writes, late for the party, Lou, but not shocked Russell Wilson didn't want us. You shouldn't be. I know you're not, because you're a realist like myself. You understand the rules and the parameters. And so you know the rules to the game, so you play. We already knew that no big name quarterback was going to choose Washington. I've already said this. I'm a Memphis Grizzlies fan. So I said this on the Washington show. I'll say this here briefly because I don't need to repeat myself a bunch of times. When you're in a small market like Memphis is in the NBA, you don't stand a chance with the free agents. San Antonio Spurs, they've never gotten really big free agents. Why? Because they're the San Antonio Spurs. They're in San Antonio. It's a small market team. OKC, all the success they've had goes directly to their general manager, who's the best in the NBA. Because every year he's got to reinvent the OKC Thunder. Every time he gets a star and he drafts his ass off, he gets a star, they want to leave. It's OKC. Who wants to stay in Oklahoma City? Nobody. So at the first chance they get, they're out. And nobody's coming there as a free agent. So you got to find ways to make that team good. And he's the best in the NBA, if you ask me. My Memphis Grizzlies, same deal. We're the Memphis Grizzlies, okay? No one's coming to Memphis willingly. Now that we have a superstar, you may be able to attract some guys, but that's what it'll take. You've got to draft well. You've got to get lucky and hit on a superstar. If you're a team in a small media market, that's not what Washington is in the NFL, but your organization is so toxic. You've been losing for so long that those two start to bleed together. People on the outside can't tell if it's the front office causing the losing or if the losing helps remind you that the front office stinks. Either way, I don't want to be a part of that. So in order for Washington to escape the quarterback wilderness that they've been roaming around for damn near 3 decades, they got to draft a guy. They got to save themselves. There will not be a quarterback that will come to Washington and save us. It's not happening. No one's coming to rescue us. There won't be a chopper overhead with a rope coming down that we need to grab that's going to pull us out of the wilderness. We just got to save ourselves, which means we got to draft a quarterback and we got to get lucky. We'll see what happens. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat and being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Lou, what's popping, homie? What's good with you, Big Money Sonny? He says, people out here still delusional thinking we could cut the line and bring in a real QB. Come on, man. Hope the fam is well. What were we talking about during the season, at the end of the season? You kept saying, Lou, tell them. Ain't nobody coming here. And I kept telling them, ain't nobody coming here. And you would say, Lou, tell them again. Say it louder for the people in the back because they're not listening. Nobody's coming here. And then you would say, hey, we're going to end up with Mitchell Trubisky. Y'all get ready. They didn't want to hear that, though. They weren't ready to hear that then. Maybe they're ready to hear it now. So you've been all over it. I've been all over it. We've been on the same page the entire time. Ain't nobody coming here. So some of that delusion, though, is coming from our organization. I feel bad because some of that Ron had to do. He had to try to, even though he's convincing himself, he had to try to convince other people out there. Why wouldn't you want to come to Washington? Yeah, we got Terry McLaurin and we got Antonio Gibson. Like, bro, those are good players. Ain't nobody coming to play with them. Like, I love Terry. If we had another receiver, if Curtis Samuel was coming off of a 982-yard season and you're like, hey, he about to get over a G next year, then maybe you could have been like, we got Terry, we got Curtis. And you know, if Logan was coming off the season he was coming off of the year before last, you're like, yeah, we got Logan Thomas. We got Logan Thomas that we don't know if is going to be ready when the season starts. So we don't have a tight end right now. You got Terry McLaurin and then question mark. You got Antonio Gibson, who's really good, but he fumbled 77 times last year. And half the fan base wanted to bench him. And you got nothing else. Like, who are you selling on the fact that, hey, you should want to come to Washington? For what? Well, you can go to Denver. They got 17 receivers. They got a tight end. They just traded a tight end. They still got another one. They can go get another one in the draft. And they got a stud back that showed us as a rookie. He's ready for the whole enchilada. Put everything on my plate. I'm ready. I don't need Melvin Gordon here. Put everything on my plate. I'm ready to eat. Why would you want to come to Washington when you can go there? Why would you want to come to Washington when you can go to Pittsburgh? Now, I'm not saying the Steelers are actively aggressive out here shopping for a quarterback, but when you got Deontay Johnson, yeah, he drops the football. He's still a beast receiver. I don't know what the hell Juju Smith-Schuster is going to do. He's probably a free agent now, and I don't know if they want him back or not. But you got Deontay Johnson. You got I'm forgetting one of those receivers. They what's my man from Notre Dame? Chase Claypool. You know, you got Pat Freiermuth, who showed you he's going to be a stud in this league, and you got Najee Harris. And they can add to that in the draft. If they lose James Washington in free agency, if they lose Juju Smith-Schuster, they can just draft another receiver. It's a deep class of receivers. You can go play there. They got more stuff than us. And they win games. Their coach wins games despite not having all of his stuff every year. He wins 10 games every year, just about. Why wouldn't you want to go there? And they got an elite defense. Not to mention, they have an elite defense. Why wouldn't you want to go to Tampa? Like, there's no reason to choose us. Aside from all of the bullshit that goes on with our organization, there's no reason to choose us. There's better teams out there that actually win football games. Kasim Warels, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Kasim writes, maybe Derek Carr is available now. Don't hold your breath, Kasim. His number one choice in Vegas was Josh McDaniels, who is their new head coach. So I assume McDaniels took the job because he had Derek Carr, potentially as his quarterback. Derek Carr is coming off of one of the best seasons of his career. The Raiders aren't looking to move him. So I wouldn't hold my breath. And again, if I'm Derek Carr and I'm looking for a new home because the Raiders don't want to ante up and pay me what I think I'm worth, again, I just gave you every reason why you shouldn't choose Washington and why you should go to New Orleans or go to Tampa or go to Pittsburgh. Like, there are other teams that need quarterbacks that are in a much better position than we are right now. Why would you choose Washington? So, again, let's see. Trevor Patch, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy, Trevor Patch. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, what did I tell y'all? We'll get Trubisky and you'll like it. You were another one that kept telling everybody, hey, y'all chill with that. It's crazy talk. We getting one of these veterans. He says, go back in the LTN archives for receipts. No need. No need for receipts. I can tell you, I remember the comments, a lot of them. You and my guy, Big Money Sonny, were among those out with a pitchfork and torch telling everybody, hey, we trying to light the way and show y'all that we ain't getting a veteran. We about to take y'all to one of these veteran stopgap quarterbacks that's out here in the free agent market. You were doing it, Big Money Sonny, and I kept telling everybody as well, hey, these boys are right. Y'all should listen to them. But nobody wants to hear that. JP didn't want to hear that. You know, JP wanted to hear that Aaron Rodgers was coming to save us. So Russell Wilson was coming to save us. So we were going to do everything in our power to go get Deshaun Watson. That's what John Perez wanted to hear. And people like him wanted to hear. They didn't want to hear that we weren't going to come away with any of these big names and we're going to have to settle for Mitchell Trubisky or Marcus Mariota or Teddy Bridgewater or Jameis Winston. They didn't want to hear that shit because that's not appealing. That doesn't move the needle. But the truth usually isn't appealing. It usually isn't a needle mover, which is why a lot of people run from reality. That's why a lot of people run from me because I often say I don't want to be a dream killer, but I stay killing dreams. Not intentionally, all right? Condo P, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOB. My girl, Condoleezza Perry, writes, say it louder for the people in the back, Lou. We have to draft our quarterback. Facts. On top of facts, on top of facts. Ain't nobody coming to save us. Ain't nobody coming to save us. We won't have to save ourselves. So the only way out of this thing is to get it right in the draft. And so far, we have a terrible track record there as well, going all the way back to PRAM in the early 2000s and then matriculating our way to JCAM and then making our way to Robert Griffin III and then finally ending up with Dwayne Haskins. We just don't seem to figure this thing out. In there somewhere is Kirk Cousins, and they couldn't even realize what we had and hold on to him. So all we can do is hope and pray that they get lucky because one of these quarterbacks, we talk about how bad this draft class is, and these aren't guys that get you excited. One of these guys may ultimately end up being good. Maybe all of them stink. One of them, more likely than not. There's 6 of them. If there were 4 of them, maybe all 4 of them would be trash. The likelihood is there's 6 of them. One of these guys is going to turn out to at least be a marginal NFL quarterback. I know which one is going to at least turn out to be that. I can assure you that the Cincinnati quarterback, Desmond Ridder, is at worst going to be a 12-year NFL backup quarterback. Worst case scenario. Okay. Worst case scenario. But that's not what you're aiming for. It's not what you're aiming for. So, Journey Reed, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Journey Reed, writes, Von Millie thinking about rejoining the Broncos too. Ain't that crazy? Maybe he knew because it was weird. He was like, yo, I want to bring that 5280 back. And I'm like, interesting. Why are you clamoring to go back to Denver so bad? You know they don't have no quarterback, right? I think Von knew what the hell was coming down the pipeline. That's why his ass wanted to go back to Denver. He's like, I just won a chip with a team that traded for a quarterback. I'm going to go and join another one that's about to be on a crash course with the Lombardi, and I'd like to be a part of it. I wouldn't be shocked if he ended back up in Denver. Like I said, they got all the shit they need. And a healthy Von Miller opposite of Bradley Chubb is exactly what the doctor ordered in Denver. So we'll see what happens. Big Money Sonny. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Big money, Sonny writes. Lou, what's the thought process now if we don't draft a quarterback in round one? It's been a minute for me. Salutes to all the new members of the mob. Stand up. We in the building. Y'all know what it is. The thought process hasn't changed. Because remember, Ron told us from the jump, you don't have to draft a quarterback in the first round. So he was already dropping innuendos as to, hey, we might not get a dude in the first round. We might get a guy in the second round. So Ron already kind of tried to warn everybody and precondition them that, hey, we might draft a quarterback in the second round. So if a quarterback isn't there that they love, so I've said this already, if the seal isn't popped on the quarterback position at 11 by the time we hit the clock, they taking a quarterback. Best believe they taking a quarterback. But if, one or two quarterbacks have already been snatched up by the time we get to 11, the likelihood is they're going to move out of that, either move out of that pick or take, best player available. And then they may have to trade back up to get a guy in the second round or just take whatever table scraps are left at their pick in the second round, which I don't think they want to do. Because if you're adamant about getting a veteran and a rookie, that means you got to come away with a rookie. And waiting isn't the thing to do when it comes to the quarterback position. So I surmise that somebody, I'm right now, I'm staring at the Panthers like, I know you taking Kenny Pickett because your head coach recruited him to Temple before he jumped ship and left for Baylor. So I know there's an affinity there for Kenny Pickett with the head coach in Carolina, Matt Rule. So I'm like, ain't no way we gonna get to 11 and no quarterback has been taken. Now, Denver trading for Russell Wilson makes it a much higher probability that takes place because I said you got to get past Carolina and Denver. Now it's just Carolina, really. Jets are good. Giants have 2 picks. I say this, I don't know if they're good. Okay. They're not picking up the 5th-year option on Daniel Jones. That should tell you something. Like I told you, sometimes they be dropping breadcrumbs. It's up to you if you want to pick them up and put them in your mouth or not. It is on the ground, so it is dirty. I get it. But they dropping breadcrumbs. If they're not picking up the 5th-year option, how sold are they on Daniel Jones? They could say, hey, we ain't sold on Daniel Jones nor any quarterback in this draft class. We'll just wait the next year. We'll just roll with Daniel Jones this year. He'll get us through, and we'll get a guy next year in the 2022 draft. Okay? Or 2023, excuse me. Okay, that could be the case. But what that says to me is if I'm not picking up Daniel Jones's 5th-year option, I'm probably looking to get a dude now. And I got the position to do it. I can pick the best quarterback that I deem to be in this draft class because I got the highest pick of the team that's, the Texans could be looking. I don't think they're looking. I think they're going to take the best player available on their board. So we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to see what takes place. But if we don't take a quarterback in the first round, we're going to take one in the second. Nothing's changed. Let's see. Twin D, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Twin D writes, hey, LT, imagine being a fan of 2 big market teams like myself, Washington and the New York Knicks, and being a place no one wants to come to. That's rough. But the reality of the situation is those 2 organizations are in 2 of the biggest markets in their respective sports, and their organizations have been so toxic, and it starts at the top with both organizations. There is only one owner that can rival Daniel Snyder in terms of ineptitude, and that's Dolan in the NBA for the Knicks. And so that's rough being a Knicks and a Washington fan because you should have no problems attracting free agent players because those are 2 of the biggest media markets in their respective sports. And yet, because you're so toxic and you lose all the time, the Knicks were becoming interesting. They made it to the playoffs. Julius Randle was playing well. They had RJ Barrett. They added, they traded this year for my guy from Duke, Cam Reddish. Quickly looks like a good young guard. There's all this stuff there. And now, oh no, we suck again. you know? But there's hope. Zion Williamson may be on the way. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, facts, big facts. That's rough because nobody wants to go there and nobody wants to come here. Kasim Worrells, thank you for the super chat. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Kasim. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, he said, I always knew we wasn't getting a top guy, but I hope we could get Jimmy and draft a guy. Getting Mitch isn't being aggressive. I mean, getting Jimmy isn't moving the needle either. And this is the problem with getting Jimmy G, which is why you don't really want to do this. You think you want to do this. This is why you don't want to do this. You get Jimmy G. Either you're going to pay him a nice piece of change this year because he got 1 year left on his contract, but more likely than not, if you trade for Jimmy G, you're gonna add on to what he's got left to his contract. Meaning you're gonna rip up his old deal and give him new money, new money, new bread, fresh out the oven. Which means you're committing yourself to Jimmy G. Now there could be exit ramps in that deal that you say, hey, after 2 years we can get out of this shit. But why do you want to do that? And oh, by the way, you got to give up draft capital. I don't give a shit if it's a 3rd round pick. I don't want to give up shit for Jimmy Garoppolo. Nothing. So I'm not a big fan of Jimmy G. And if you add Jimmy G, you're going to have to give up something to get him. And more likely than not, you're going to have to pay Jimmy G. Who wants to? A wise woman once said, Brooklyn beef. Who want that? Jimmy G. Who want that? You want to give up picks, money for Jimmy G? I'm good. Jackass in the box. I like that one. Jackass in the box. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes? Hey Lou. What's up, Jackass in the box? Says, who do you want as our next head coach when we inevitably suck again next year and Ron gets fired? I'm not speaking that into existence, and Ron isn't getting fired. And if by suck you mean 7-10 again, okay. He's not getting fired off of 7-10. That's what we're gonna be. I mean, first of all, we play in the NFC East, okay? Like you guys come off of this 3-14 nonsense. You play in the NFC East. Worst case scenario, you're at least going to win 2 games in the division, whether you split with the Giants and Eagles or you sweep one of those teams. So stop. You're going to win 7 games, 6-7 games minimum. Okay. And Ron Rivera, for as bad as he's been at times with injuries and as such with some of these teams, he's never been a 3-win guy in his career. So stop already. Okay. Come off of that. So he's not getting fired. All right. Let's see. We could take a couple more. That was the last super chat. We could take a couple more hashtags if there are any out there. There weren't many before. So Eli writes, I'm honestly surprised we didn't have to give up Judy or PS2 for Russ. The reason you didn't have to give that up is because you gave up 1st-round picks. So you give up 2 1st-round picks and 2 2s. You can't also come after guys that I spent a 1st-round pick on, right? Like Patrick Surtain II, that's the 1st-round pick, Jerry Jeudy. So in essence, you would have been giving up 3 1st-rounders. Like I'm not giving up 3. That's the point of me giving up 2 seconds. I gave up 2 1s and 2 2s so that I didn't have to add in a player that was a 1st-round pick. And then you gave up Noah Fant. That's another 1st-round pick. The only difference between Jerry Jeudy and PS2 and Noah Fant is that he's a year closer to free agency. So he's a little bit further along in that process. So they're willing to give up on him. But Jerry Jeudy is going into year 3 of his career, and PS2 is going into year 2. And if I'm not mistaken, Noah Fant's going into year 4. So you were more likely to part with a guy that was getting closer to free agency anyway than guys that you just got in the draft not too long ago. So you gave up 2 1st-rounders in 2 seconds. And then you gave up a guy that was a former 1st-rounder. So you're not giving up any more of those. And you were ready to give up on Drew Lock anyway. So that was like a throw-in. You're like, thank you. Thank you for taking him off my hands. And Shelby Harris, that's a good football player. Sneaky good football player. So It was a good haul for the Seahawks, but the Broncos would do that deal 50 times over. HHC Lunar says Denver was up 30-0 on Dallas with Bridgewater. Imagine how good they'll be with Wilson. They about to be a problem. Period. End of discussion. Everybody knows it. The teams in their division who watch them struggle with Bridgewater and Luck or Lock, they know shit. Denver's back in the game now. They know because the Broncos were solid with Teddy Bridgewater, so they already know. Damn, shit just got real. As if it already wasn't real, it just got realer. Got another super chat. This one is from Hoodie Quays. Thank you for the super chat, Hoodie Quays, who writes, thank you for being a member of the MOBB as well. Right, Louie, sign Mitchell Trubisky, athletic quarterback, and draft the best quarterback in the draft, Matt Corral. I wouldn't have a problem with that pairing. I would not have a problem with that pairing at all whatsoever. We'll see what they decide to do. Again, Mitchell Trubisky has to choose us. Think about that statement for a second. When this season first came to a close and the thought of Mitchell Trubisky was brought up, people was cutting their eye and, oh, Mitchell Trubisky stinks. I don't want him. And now people are like, yo, you know, and we were saying Mitchell Trubisky, like, he didn't have options. We had to choose him, not him choosing us. Now Mitchell Trubisky has options, okay? We won't be the only team putting in a bid for Mitchell Trubisky, you know? So he has to choose us. And I'm not saying that he won't. I think in his case, him coming from Buffalo does us a huge solid because they're going to put in a good word about Ron Rivera. So they may help convince him that, hey, Washington is where you need to go. But, you know, if Mitch is making this decision on his own and he's like, I don't think I want to mess with that. I'd rather go to a team. I've been on a team before where they had a stout defense and they had some weapons, and all I had to do was kind of manage the game and every now and again show up, throw 6 touchdown passes against Tampa Bay, and, you know, every now and again do that thing just to remind everybody that I was the second pick overall in the draft. But for the most part, just manage the game. Don't throw up all over myself. Use my legs when need be, and I can win 10 games. I did it in Chicago. I won us a division. I took us to the playoffs 2 times in 3 years. I can do it. Why not go to Pittsburgh? They're waiting for a guy like Mitchell Trubisky to show up. I'm not saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Anyway, we'll see. Thank you for that super chat, Hoodie Quays. Let's see. Where we at? We up here somewhere. Let's see. All right, so yeah, we went all through here. Right here. Jonathan Riches writes, what teams are in full on fire sale mode? I don't think there are many of those teams. You know, I don't see many teams that are looking to move parts. The Giants seemed like that team early on in the process when there were reports that they were looking to trade Saquon Barkley. They were also reportedly looking to move their corner, James Bradbury. So they seemed a little bit, you know, iffy. Dallas seems like they're going to move on from Amari Cooper. I don't think they're going to do anything with Zeke Elliott, but that's a conversation that they may have to have. I know that today they got some big restructures from Dak and I want to say Zach Martin. So that's going to free up a ton of cap space for them. They went to Tank Lawrence, asked him to take a pay cut. He said, hell no, get out of my face. So they went to you know, the company man, Dak, and Dak said, yeah, I got you. And I think they went to Zach Martin and he said, I got you. And so I think they'll be fine. They won't have to cut Tank Lawrence, I don't think. But you never know. But I don't see anybody having a full on fire sale. think that's what anybody's looking to do right now. So we'll see what happens. Last year was the year when teams were having fire sales because they couldn't get to the cap. The cap is at 208, which is what we said it was going to be at. It's 208 this year. It's officially been set at 208. So everyone should be fine cap wise. And if you're not, you'll find a way to be fine. Anyway, I digress. Hoodie Quays, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. My guy Hoodie Quays writes, "Oh, Louie, I think you forgot my boy George Pickens 4-4 flat in the second round. Is you with me now?" I didn't forget him. I talked about him on my combine coverage. He's a guy that a lot of people forgot about. George Pickens. A lot of people forgot about him because he got injured. He only played in 4 games last year. So, if you go back and watch freshman George Pickens, you're like, hey, this dude is a beast. If you watched enough of him, you know what he's about. I thought he looked good at the combine. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. He's another one of these guys. He's not going to be a first round pick. If he can stay healthy, the dude has first round talent. And that's why this draft is so deep, which is why you don't have to spend the 11th pick on a wide receiver. There'll be guys like George Pickens and Christian Watson more likely than not waiting for you in the second round. Because everybody can't go in the first round. All right, we'll take a couple more and then we'll get to garbage time. See where we left off at. We left off right around here, somewhere in here. Man, that's a lot of comments in here. There's a lot of comments. All right, we were in here somewhere because I think I read Jonathan Rich's last, and he's got another one. He says, which teams are in full fire sale mode, Louie T? I think the Saints, Buccaneers, and Seahawks are contenders to sell away top players for draft capital right now. The Bucs aren't looking to break down their team. They're looking to reload. The Saints, same thing. Like when you have as good a defense as the Saints do, and their head coach was their defensive coordinator, he's not looking to get rid of any of their pieces. They had Michael Thomas restructure. They're fine. They're in their mind, they just need to find a quarterback that can help them win. Like I wouldn't be shocked if they went out and brought back Teddy Bridgewater. With the defense that they have, they might just bring back Jameis Winston because he was there last year and he was playing well before he got injured. But I wouldn't be shocked if they went and got Teddy Bridgewater and brought him back. Remember, this is the same guy that went like 4-5-0 when Drew Brees was out that one year before he left for Denver. So I wouldn't be shocked if they say, hey, Teddy, come on back, manage this game, boy, and let this defense play ball. So we'll see what happens. I don't see those teams, having fire sales. Seahawks, they're interesting because now without Russ, they no longer are a contender. Maybe they start, mortgaging off some of their pieces. But again, in order to build it back up, you need to have a foundation. They have foundational pieces there. They just want to keep adding to that. So we'll see what happens. Nate Ball, thank you for this. Nate Ball writes, why not just keep Heineke as a bridge for the rookie quarterback that we likely will pick up instead of a new veteran? TH knows the offense. One more year of losing won't hurt my feelings, LOL. But that's the problem, is that what we watched last year was a team that could have won 2 or 3 more games had they had more production from the quarterback position. There were 2 or 3 games in particular where you just say, if the quarterback was better, we win. I think about the Saints game. I think about the Chiefs game. I think about the Broncos games in particular. Those just right off the top of my head. If the quarterback is better, we win those games. Then you go to the second half of the season. He was scared against Dallas the first time. He was scared. He played scared. He looked scared. He was overmatched. Now, the offensive line didn't do him any favors, but he was scared. And we don't want to go down that road again with him being the starter. I told you, I want him on the team as a backup because I think he's going to be one of the best backups in the league. I just don't want him starting. So go get a veteran to do that. And you're hoping that you don't have to see Taylor Heineke hit the field, because if the veteran stopgap bridge quarterback, call him whatever you want, isn't cutting it, then you just need to go to the rookie. But the worst thing that could happen is you get the rookie, he's not ready. Week 3, Marcus Mariota pulls a hamstring, as he customarily does every year, like Tyrod Taylor. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. And now Taylor Heineke has no choice but to play because the rookie's not ready. That's what I don't want, which is why I don't want Marcus Mariota. Anyway, I digress. Let's go ahead and transition to our final segment of the show. And that, of course, is garbage time. So I wanted to bring something to the forefront. So we talked about this on the pod yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, that some tight ends were starting to get franchise tagged. And we saw David Njoku get the tag. And I said that if I were the Dolphins, if I were the Cowboys, and these teams with elite level tight ends that put up huge production, I would not be getting rid of these guys. But, you know, with this draft class coming up, maybe you're more inclined to allow these guys to walk, get their money somewhere else, and draft a tight end because it's a deep draft class. I think what we've seen in the last 48 hours is a referendum on the tight end position in this year's draft class. So hear me out. We talked about the deep pool of free agent tight ends if they didn't get franchise tagged. You know, the upper echelon was Dalton Schultz, Mike Gesicki, David Njoku. That was the top shelf stuff, right? If you wanted to come down to that second shelf, still some quality stuff there. You weren't drinking Aristocrat. But, you know, that was the upper tier stuff, that top shelf liquor. You went to the middle of the road liquor, the good stuff. This is still good stuff. You can get a nice little buzz off of this and not have a headache tomorrow. The Cirocs of the world, you know, that sort of thing. It was O.J. Howard. It was Evan Ingram. There were other guys in there. Mo Alley Cox. You know, there were a few other guys you're like, hey, that's an intriguing guy. I wouldn't mind kicking the tires on him. And then there were the low-level guys. And then there was a draft. But there was something there for everyone. And I said, man, this is a rough year to be a free agent tight end because it's a deep pool of tight ends coming into the league. And I don't know, teams may be willing to let you walk because they could get a younger, cheaper option. May not be the same athlete, but younger, cheaper option. And that might also squeeze your market because you might go out here, test the market, and teams are like, I ain't got to pay you $12 million a year. Go get one of these young boys in the third round and pay him nothing. Well, every coach, you know, talent evaluator, GM, team president, they were all on hand in Indy. They watched those tight ends work out, and they all came to one conclusion. Ain't none of these boys as good as the shit we got back at the crib. And so the Browns stepped up first and said, hey, David Njoku would be the first tight end off the board in this draft class, and it's not close. So, and none of them are even close to the athlete. None of these dudes even got, I think, remotely close to a 4.4. Like, I think we might have had a couple of guys run a 4.5, but for the most part, this is a slow group of tight ends. You know, none of them are. Now, that doesn't mean they're not going to be good and that they're not going to be able to get open and make plays. You know, Mark Andrews wasn't a Blazer. Neither was Travis Kelce, you know. So it doesn't mean you're not. George Kittle was. He was a 4.52 dude, you know. And Darren Waller was an ex-receiver, so he can run. But when you look at this group coming in, there isn't a first-round tight end in sight. There is no Kyle Pitts in this year's draft. As I mentioned, there is no Noah Fant or no TJ Hawkinson in this draft class. So because those guys don't exist, teams are looking at their stuff and saying, my guy would be the first tight end taken in this year's draft class. Why would I let him walk? So now all of a sudden, the Browns step up, they franchise tag David Njoku. The Cowboys step up, they franchise tag Dalton Schultz. The Dolphins step up, they franchise tag their tight end Mike Gesicki. That to me isn't a coincidence that it happens the weekend, the first couple of days after the combine, after laying eyes on these tight ends. I don't think that's a coincidence. They could have franchise tagged every one of those same guys could have got franchise tagged the weekend before the combine. Thursday, Friday before the combine, Wednesday before the combine. They didn't. Why? Because they wanted to see what these tight ends were all about. And they got their answer, and they're like, my guy's better. So I think they pretty much said that this tight end group is cool. It's all right. It's not terrible. It's deep, but it's not elite. I'm going to hold on to my stuff instead. So I think that's a referendum on this year's tight end group, which is, it's a solid group, can get you a starting caliber tight end. More likely than not, your dude's going to end up being TE2, but you can get you a solid starter more likely than not in the third, in the fourth, in the fifth round. But make no mistake about it, ain't no first round tight ends in here. There's no needle movers in here. So I'm going to hold on to my stuff, which makes an interesting case for some of these free agents now all of a sudden. So we'll see what happens, man. I just find that to be interesting now that we're taking a look at what's transpiring. Devontae Adams gets the franchise tag in Green Bay. I told you we're going to see more guys get the franchise tag, and we're still not done. And then also keep in mind that Mike Williams, who was going to be potentially a big name wide receiver in the free agent market, he got a fat deal from the Los Angeles Chargers to stay in LA. Good for him. Big time receiver. There's some drops every now and again, but he makes a lot of big plays. He's one of the best 50-50, or as I like to call BFG, ball fragment grab guys in the league, where he'll just put his nutsack on your helmet and go take it from you. And so he's being rewarded for his good work in his early portion of his career. So good for him getting to the bag. So we'll see a lot more news come down the pipeline. But we'll be tracking it all here on the Louie T Network. Stick with me. I got you. Your boy got you. All right. Stick with me, and we'll break it all down here on the Louie T Network. But in any event, that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. I thank each and every single one of you guys for joining me. And remember, Amari Cooper is going to probably hit that market eventually. He'll be interesting. I think he needs to make a beeline for a place like Cleveland or something like that, right? So we'll see what happens. The Jets may be interested. Another team looking for a veteran to come in there, but they got Corey Davis. I don't know. Maybe they're willing to spend. Jacksonville could be another team. That's the blind leading the blind at the receiver position, especially if there's no more DJ Chark there moving forward. So we'll see what happens. At the end of the day, it'll be interesting to see what teams do with the franchise tag. And I'll be coming up with a list here shortly, as I told you guys that I would. So in any event, that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. My list has been compromised because a lot of these tight ends were on it. Now they're franchise tagged, but I digress. You know what it is. Get off the bench, get in the game, and kick it with me, your man Louie T. Until next time. Thank you guys for joining me on this emergency podcast. A lot of these things just transpired out of nowhere. You know, I couldn't just sit on my hands and do nothing, right? We had to come chop it up and talk about it, and I'm glad you guys came and kicked it with the kids. So until next time, you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll be back with another podcast maybe tomorrow. Now that we did one today, I don't know if there's a need for one tomorrow. We'll see. All right. I won't rule it out, but I'm not guaranteeing it either. Either way, if you're a Washington fan, you'll definitely see this face all up in your space on Thursday night for the Command Post Live. Until then, you guys take care. Enjoy the rest of your evening. God bless and good night.